Hey guys, welcome into the program. Wanted to start off today by wishing you all a happy Thursday, upcoming Memorial Day weekend. Hope you guys are enjoying yourself. We've been off for a couple of weeks. Apologies for that. I was busy getting a root canal and then recovering from such, so I wasn't able to come on and speak with you guys. We're going to talk about a couple things tonight. First thing we're going to talk about is, one of the things we want to talk about is we want to talk about diversity in tech, which we talk about a lot. I'll get into that more in a little bit. I'm going to be introducing the panel I'm going to be speaking on at the Internet 2.0 conference a little later in the show. But before we really dive into everything, I would be remiss if we didn't shout out Tina Turner. She passed away this week, and at 83. And so Tina, we love you. Been a big fan for a really long time. I've got a good friend who was in the Tina Broadway musical, and she just was an iconic woman, and so we just wanted to shout her out, and rest in peace, Queen. You will be missed. Okay, so let's just jump right in. What we want to talk about today is we want to talk about diversity and inclusion in tech, right? So one of the things I'm going to be speaking on two panels on the Internet 2.0 conference. We'll introduce the other panel in a coming week. But for tonight, I really thought the best way to honor Tina's legacy was to really shout out and big up just diversity, right, in our field, because we all know what Tina did. We all know who she was, what she did for women and battered women and people trying to move into their own spaces and move with agency and purpose and all those kind of things. So what I really want to talk about tonight is diversity in tech. So in Vegas in July, I'm going to be speaking on this panel at the Internet 2.0 conference about and the subject matter is solving the diversity issue in Silicon Valley. I don't have particular experience in the Valley, but I have been in tech and production and IT and all these different things for going on 30 years. And so I have a really great experience level with seeing what's going on. Now, I know, middle-aged white guy talking about diversity, maybe not the best look, right? But I think I can bring a useful vantage point to it, as a person, as a parent, as a girl dad, all those kind of things. I think I have a useful vantage point. One of the things I want to talk about is an article that came out today. I'm just pulling it up right now on Kinley, which is a company that I work with and I partner with very closely. Super large AV integrator, global footprint, et cetera. They do a lot of great work. So if you're looking for large scale AV integration work, please hit up Kinley. Kinley.com, and you can see everything that we and they are doing. But this article came out on their blog today, and it's posted on their LinkedIn, so go ahead and give that a look if you get a chance, where their brand new, newly minted global people director, who is a lovely lady named Katie Thorpe, she was quoting another publication that says, according to the most recent analysis, the AV industry, so by AV industry, they mean like audiovisual, design, build, integration, all the conference rooms and, NPRs and auditorium spaces, companies that do that kind of stuff, that in the most recent analysis, the AV industry is 89% male to only 11% female. She goes on to say that is a huge divide and something that we as an industry and as a company need to improve. She goes on to say that Kinley has already made great strides in APAC, so that's Asia Pacific, where nearly 50% of the tech staff are women. And so Kinley has really improved in their footprint. VAAV Industries, we consult with and hire predominantly women and predominantly women of color for all of our shoots, for all of our initiatives. Our social media director, Fatima Doso, is a wonderful, amazing woman of color who does an amazing job for us. And there are others. Had to give you a shout out, Tima. What's the point? The point is that whether we're talking about AV, which this article is specifically talking about, whether we're talking about Silicon Valley, which is startups and programmers and it's Meta and things of this nature, whether we're talking about production, whether it's film and TV or broadcast production, is like, guys, it's a sausage fest, right? It is an absolute sausage fest. It's got to stop, right? It's absolutely got to stop because it's time, right? We learned during the pandemic that we can do all of this work remotely, right? And I'm going to keep harping on that, and I'm going to keep harping on it. What else did we learn? We learned that when given a choice, a lot of these companies are going to try to force women out of the workforce simply because they can, right? And so when we force people back into the office and people are forced to find childcare again and forced to do all these things, that disproportionately affects women in the workforce, right? So what's the solve? How do we get more diverse in our various lines of business? This is going to sound revolutionary and really, really controversial. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Hire more damn women. It's that simple. It's really that simple. There's a bunch of amazing women across the range, the gamut of age bracket, whether we're talking about 20 somethings fresh out of college or 60 somethings going back to work and everything in between. The remote and mobile and flexible working revolution has freed us up to be able to say, hey, you can work on the schedule you need. You can work the amount of hours you need. Like it used to be, if a woman was pregnant, then there was at some point where she wasn't able to do the job because she had to get into the office and be on her feet all day. But if I can sit in this chair and talk to you, or write an email, or build an Excel workbook, or edit a video, or design a website, or get the list is endless. Then if I can do it, then anybody can do it, right? I'm not special in any meaningful way. Like I work hard, but I wouldn't say that I'm significantly more special than anyone else walking the face of the earth, right? If I can do it, you can do it. And so therefore, regardless of what the situation is, whether you've got health issues, whether it's a woman who's with child or has a newborn at home, like we can cut out all of the nonsense about who can work and when that we can work and at what times and at what facility and all of those things, right? And so really simple solution: hire more women. It's really that simple. Hire women, hire diverse women, hire hire immigrants, hire people of color, hire women, hire aged people, like just across the gamut, right? Because there's really nothing hindering us, right? Used to be geography was a hindrance. If you lived more than 2 or 3 hours drive away, then that maybe wasn't a job that you could take because of the amount of time it would take you to get to and from every day. That doesn't matter anymore. We can Zoom in, we can do Teams, we can do any number of things. Like there's Slack, there's Mattermost, there's all of these tools out there, right? And as we continue to go, VAAV is going to be developing more tools to just help that process along the way. I was actually recently was at a studio, green screen studio here in New York, observing and testing out a new product that's going to revolutionize called XR Mirage, which is we're working with a partner of ours, American Movie Company, which that I've done a lot of work with over a wide stretch of years. That's developing a new green screen and virtual environment technology that's going to really revolutionize how we're able to do business and how we're able to put ourselves in these virtual spaces. More on that in the coming weeks. But we're going to keep building these tools to help us do that. But let's get back to the subject at hand: diversity. How we solve the diversity issue in technology. Right? I read you the numbers, in the audiovisual industry, right? There is, I've said this before, I'll say it again, really great friend of mine, friend of the company. Her name's Bethany. She works for Neat. I'm hoping to have her on the program at some point here this year. She said to me over and over again that she grew up, her dad was an architect, etc., and she'd be on site with him, and she would get treated like she was someone's secretary. And even when she became an audiovisual engineer or whatever, she would be the senior engineer on the project, and you would have some construction yahoo from Staten Island talking about, hey, sweetheart, can you get me a cup of coffee, and acting, and without even thinking, made the assumption that she was someone's secretary, when in reality she was the senior engineer on the project, right? Bethany, I love you. I hope you don't mind me telling that story over and over again, but it resonates, right? We got to stop with this. Bethany's a phenomenal engineer. And the way she always tells that story is, give me the respect I've earned, damn it, right? We've got a significant amount of ladies out there that are brilliant and amazing engineers, and are brilliant and amazing editors, and are brilliant, and like, fill in the blank, it doesn't matter what it is, that are brilliant and are amazing at their jobs. They're highly educated, they're highly motivated, they're highly skilled, and we are totally missing the boat if we just continue to go, oh, well, I want to hire this guy because there's just something about him that I like, or I'm going to hire this person because that other person, there's something about them that I just don't feel good about. More often than not, the I don't feel good about whatever is just exposing our personal biases. Let me tell you another story real quick. So during the pandemic, I was a senior engineer in charge for a large hedge fund, and we were going to be building out a team of AV operators and consultants to do the work. And I had interviewed a number of people, and we had some good candidates, some not so good candidates. Every single person we interviewed, no matter how much I liked them, if they were a person of color or if they presented as a person of color, the leadership team invented reasons to not like them, no matter how qualified they were, no matter how highly recommended they were. Right. Eventually, I had to go to the mat for someone, and I was able to get them in the door, but it was like pulling teeth. Now, what's the point? The point is that the answers to this are simple, right? It's kind of like, how do we solve the homeless crisis? Give people houses, right? It's not that complicated. We spend way more money every year. Trying to do all these other things to solve homelessness, is if you just gave people a micro home and let them do what they were going to do anyway, find a job or whatever, you'd solve the problem. Similar phenomena is true with the diversity issues in technology, right? Is how many of us know the story of Tinder and Bumble, right? It's actually a pretty well-known story, but it's really interesting, and I think makes a salient point to what we're talking about here. Tinder was started by a group of people. One of the primary ones was a woman. Names won't remain. People will remain nameless to protect everybody. But long story short, is they eventually forced her out, and they went on to become squillionaires with this whole Tinder thing. So she started Bumble and did her own thing. Now, saying nothing about the specifics of what did or didn't happen, it's pretty clear to me that woman was brilliant, right? And good at her job, brilliant, knew how to run a business. None of those things. If she wasn't, she would not have been successful with Bumble. So what is the point? The point is, we've got to stop treating people just because they don't have a voting share, or just because they are going to be perceived by the world at large as being from some sort of minority group, right? And by minority group, I don't mean people of color, I mean in the minority, right? Stop treating them like they're less than. More often than not, they're the best of the best, because they've got to work 2 or 3 or 4 times as hard to get ahead, right? I can't tell you the number of awesome opportunities I've stumbled into in my career purely because people assume I know what I'm talking about when I walk in the room the vast majority of the time. Now, about 95% of the time, that's true. I've been an expert in my field for a stupefying amount of time, right? But there have been times and occasion where that hasn't been true. I haven't known the thing I needed to know right in that moment, and I go back and furiously Google it, like every IT person you've ever met, right? So how do we solve this? Really simple. Hire more women, hire more people of color, hire more immigrants, hire more disabled people at every level. Hire people at the entry level, but that's not good enough. Hire people in senior leadership. We need diversity at every step along the way, at every rung of the ladder. Every rung of the ladder should look the way the West looks, which is a mixture of every group, right? I should be able to walk into any company in technology and basically see the borough of Queens, right? And for non-New Yorkers, what the hell do I mean? Okay, so Queens is like in the Guinness Book of World Records for the place on earth where the most languages are spoken. Something like 108 languages are spoken in the borough of Queens here in New York City, right? It's one of the most diverse, it's one of, if not the most diverse place on the planet, right? So it's also tinged by sadness because the Mets play there. And I love my Mets. Mets fans, don't kill me. But let's be honest, they're the Mets. But what's the point? The point is, if we do this right, then we make each other better. And that's the whole point of this company. So the last thing I want to talk about tonight, right? We talked a little bit about Internet 2.0 conference. I'm submitting my materials to them this week. I'm going to be speaking there on the week of July 10th. Please come out and check us out and come find me and shake my hand if you're going to be in the area. That would be phenomenal. I want to have a brief call to action. We know we need to solve this across all verticals. This isn't just a technology problem, right? It's not just a AV problem. It's not just a Silicon Valley problem. You look at all of the various different areas. Like there are no women head coaches in the NBA, and there are a number of male head coaches in the WNBA, right? You look right across any industry, and we lack critical leadership that is, for the most part, anything other than middle-aged, rich white man, right? That's really what it is, right? I mean, it's like Jamie Dimon, a perfect example of this, right? Elon Musk, perfect. I know I harp on them a bunch, but you look at the leadership of most of these tech companies. The CEO of YouTube stepped down a couple months ago and was one of the most prominent woman in Silicon Valley, right? We need more diverse leadership across every vertical in business and in government and in education that are, that are diverse, that are women, people of color, immigrants, what have you. We need more of that, not less. So what I'm going to ask is for anybody who's watching this, is whether they see it go out live or whether you see the playback later, leave a comment, hit me in my inbox. You can send me an email, which is vallen@va-av.com. Again, that's vallen@va-av.com. Any of those mechanisms is fine. And tell me, especially my diversity and inclusion people, my diversity and inclusion leadership on my LinkedIn profile, anyone who's working in that space, please reach out to me, because I want to make sure that when I speak about this, I speak from an informed place, from an authoritative place, that I'm not just spouting the BS that I think in my head about it, but that I have good people behind me pointing out what the issues are and pointing me in the direction of the critical research. So please reach out to me. I'm begging you, please reach out to me, and let's set up conversations, whether it's 15 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it is, whether it's going for a coffee if you're here in New York or what have you. Please hit me up so that we can go ahead, so that we can begin a dialogue and put some things in place ahead of July, ahead of my talk in July, so that we can really do that. That's really mostly what I wanted to come on here to talk about tonight. Was please hit me up, please reach out to me. so that I can begin to put some of the things in motion, both in my company, VAAV Industries, but also to critically inform what's going on at Kinley, but also to critically inform all of the people I'm going to be in front of, in the next couple of months. I'm going to be, one last thing. I found out recently that middle of next month, Star Jones is going to be interviewing me on her platform, and this is definitely something I want to talk about with her. So please hit me up, and let's just get some momentum going, and let's just start these conversations. And I just would love to hear all of your input. And then additionally, I would love to hear what you guys would. We're going to get back to doing some interviews and stuff here shortly, but what you guys want to hear about, right? Hit me up, talk to me about what you guys want to hear about, what you want to talk about. Do you want to see things that are happening new in the industry? We're going to talk about, the new XR technology that American Movie Company is developing, and how VAAV partners with them, and how you can partner with us and bring us in to leverage some of this really cool stuff, and how we can put you in Times Square 1 minute and Mars the next minute. It's going to be really, really amazing. So please reach out to us about that. Thank you so much for your time. Really always enjoy coming to you guys. So thank you for your time. Be well. And once again, Tina, rest in power. We love you so much. Have a good rest of your evening and a great holiday weekend. Thank y'all.